I don't know if we're gonna get this show to be 2 hours like we did last week.
No, I think I think it's good though. Listen, this show will be shorter because I took 1.25 pages of notes and slept for most of it. You know what I'm saying?
You did not sleep through the movie.
I didn't. I wish I did. At the end of it, I was like, boy, I could have been napping this whole time. It would have been great.
Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. It's Hey Watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
I'm Tony.
And on this show, we watch the movies that you haven't watched.
Nor should you.
Nor
Good
should you.
job. You're
No.
doing a great job. You out there
No.
not watching these movies.
And then we tell you why you shouldn't be watching these
Which
movies.
now that I think about it, is a bit redundant because they're already not doing it, Dan. They're already like, why would I ever watch this movie? And then someone's like, hey, you shouldn't watch this movie for this reason. I already know, guy. I haven't watched it.
We're reinforcing behavior that should have already that they're already behaving in said way. Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Maybe-
my wife gets mad at me when I tell her things she already knows. It's a good thing she doesn't watch this show. She'd be furious.
So this week, Tony found his favorite comedian and then wanted us to showcase his best movie.
Exactly. Best movie. Only movie, worst comedian on earth. Listen.
He is not the worst. He is not the worst comedian on earth by any stretch of the imagination.
Let's throw this out as a baseline. I have never watched a single second of his comedy. Not even one. Nor will I. I refuse.
At this point, he is a better comedian than John Travolta.
Listen. At this point, John Travolta lost his mind about 15 years ago, and it's not coming back, Dan.
Okay, so who are we talking about? What movie are we talking about? From
Burt
2023,
McCracken.
an hour and 52 minutes. It's not Burt McCracken, Tony. You can't do
It's
that.
not. Burt McCracken.
Burt McCracken is the singer of The Used. And he's
It's the
so
singer
great.
of this great band. Burt Kreischer. He, I guess... And you'll know better than me. Basically, apparently he's got a stand-up bit that lasts 12 to 13 minutes from what I could tell from reading about it, where he talks about the time that he hung out with the Russian mob or something stupid like that. Sounds like a terrible bit. I don't know. So then someone thought that they'd give him a movie about it, and then he wrote more bad stuff about a situation that probably never was funny in the first place.
So
Am I close?
you're pretty darn close.
Okay.
So yeah, the trailer makes it out that when he was in college, he was taking Russian. They went on a trip to Russia, and then through whatever happened, he kind of becomes friends with some mafia guys, and then they end up robbing a train. Right?
Yes. Yep. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when I sort of saw this trailer, I was like, okay. And he's called The Machine. That's the name of the movie, The Machine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what happens is this guy drinks a lot. And when he drinks a lot, he becomes a fucking animal. Like it's like a Popeye situation where he becomes this beast that is unstoppable. Because during the movie, they talk about the legend of him is he can walk through walls, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit. So what we're gonna see is that he's gonna become this thing in the when he's on the trip, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be like you're just like, whoa, this guy can do anything when he's the machine. The machine is something special. Okay. And then what'll happen in the movie is that at a certain point he will have to drink the alcohol. And, he's just like a normal, mild-mannered guy, but he has to, like, give in to the alcohol and become the machine again to save the day. This is the movie I went in to see.
I think I figured out your problem in life, Dan.
Yeah.
The problem is you think things through. See, I agree with you. That's the movie that should have happened. Never once did I think that was going to be what we got. Not even for a second.
Okay, you're
but
smart.
I agree with you. That's the movie on paper. And here's
the
thing.
It is, right?
They
The trailer
tried.
kind of pitches that movie, right?
The movie pitches it. There's a moment in the movie where he drinks and they do the Popeye thing where steam comes out of the ear on the fake label. And I was like,
oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay.
They think they're doing it. I'm pretty sure, Dan, if you said that to them, they'd be like, yeah, that's the movie we wrote. That's the movie that's on the screen. I'm pretty sure that's what they would say.
Oh, oh, it's so sad because I was looking forward to that movie because that movie has some interesting push and pull.
It's good. It sounds fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think somebody's done that movie. I don't know what it is. I'd have to think about it.
I'm sure you're right. But they didn't have Burt McCreischer to come in and really step up the movie and show off his acting chops.
We're gonna start there then, Tony, because Tony was like at the beginning of this week, he's like, this one's not gonna be long because I think he's a good actor.
Whoa, Dan, no. I need you to rewatch the movie. He's an indicating over actor, okay? And not in a fun way like Jim Carrey used to overact. This guy, he's got two levels. He's got, I'm going to talk to you, or I'm going to scream in your face. He doesn't have any emotions. He just yells or talks. Those are the only two things he can do.
I think with a good director and a real script, you could get a good performance out. You could get a good performance out of him. I think that there's a... Yeah, I mean, it's not through this, but you see, there's a lot of actors that is not the case. There's a lot of actors I watch and I'm like, yeah, no, I would not want this guy in my movie. I don't want him anywhere near it because he's just going to he's not going to understand anything. I do think this guy can get to emotional depths when he's not playing this character.
Sure. Okay.
Both Burt Kreischer and the Machine. I think he has two characters. He has, I'm a stand-up, and I'm the Machine. He has these two characters. And both of those characters need to be put away forever.
Yeah.
We don't want those.
Sure.
We want him to be like, Burt the actor. It's like, I'm Burt
Right,
Kay,
but we don't see that. You are extrapolating that you think that he can get there, and I'm here to tell you, I disagree. But if that's your bar, Dan, for he's a good actor, is that he can do the bare minimum with a good script and a good direct. No, he's got to bring it himself a little bit, Dan. Let's give him a little something to do.
So I went this morning before we got on, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go see what happened, right? Where this started. The hype? Because the movie starts and you're really supposed to understand the whole thing. They don't really...
For sure.
They don't really...
They assumed you are one of the 50 million YouTube video watchers. Yeah, I get that.
So I watched the bit 6 years ago on YouTube, 55 million views. And then, so I watched the whole thing, 12, 14 minutes, whatever it is. Not especially funny. Not especially positively reacted by the audience watching him. Then I continue to dig. I find the clip from 11 years ago. Exact same bit.
The same?
Yeah. So he'd been doing this bit for 5+ years until it went viral, which is like, oh my God.
You know what? That is not the sign of a good comedian. I'm just throwing that out there.
And my other point is I only made it about halfway through the other one. The older one was a little more, he does more affectations, which are a little more questionable, but funnier. It was funnier 11 years ago. Less funny after 5 years. The jokes have not gotten better. His delivery is exactly the same. I mean, it's really kind of terrifying, because it's like with a good comedian over a 5-year period of being on the stage constantly, you should be better. Period.
You will not only should you be better, but if it's the same piece, those jokes should evolve. You should know what works, hit those a little bit harder each time, and the whole thing, the structure should change. I mean, listen, I'm not an accomplished stand-up, so I guess take it with a grain of salt, but so far, what I've learned is that I am 100% correct about Burt Kreischer.
Oh, see, that bit is not working, Tony. Just
it's
like
not
his man
with the audience here, but it's going to get 55 million views, and I'm going to get a movie about it.
That is not happening. Okay, so the other thing is like he takes off his shirt and does a thing like in the clip in the I watched the beginning of the stand up special where he did the machine and which ended up and he just starts the show by taking off his shirt. He doesn't build up into it.
There's no okay.
He just sort of walks out with the shirt and then he kind of has to
He takes it off.
And I think that when he did the special, I'm sure like he finished it and he's like, well, I don't know, maybe something will happen with this. I don't know, man. He did not walk. He did not walk home from that show and go like,
I'm getting a movie deal.
I'm still the shit. I'm the greatest. It's interesting. Okay, so the machine, 2023, an hour and 52 minutes. It starts with him on stage doing the bit. And they pump up the laughter times 10. There's not that amount of laughter when he did the bit. And
oh wow, okay.
Oh yeah, no, it was bad. It was the audience was very, very. It took them a long time, and it was all a bit they knew, right? Oh, let me rephrase that.
Yeah,
the show from 11 years ago. It starts with people yelling at him, "Do the machine story." So everybody
had already been around.
He'd done it like on the radio, I think. And so, people were going to his shows just to have him do this thing. And he's been doing that for 5+ years, at least, by the time it goes viral.
I guess here's my thing. I went and saw a musical act recently and they played stuff from their newer EP instead of their full-length LP that came out in 2019, and I was upset. I was like, I don't know this stuff as well. I wish you'd play some of your older stuff. So maybe I kind of get it on a level of the reason I like you is this specific thing. I'd like to see that specific thing.
Oh yeah, but no, I mean, it's unless you're restructured, unless you're doing a new show every 2 years, and I mean, the truth of the matter is, he should have put this story away.
Yes.
Period. He should have put this story away. I mean, it was very smart for him that he didn't, but I'm sure the middle of his career was the middle of his career because when he does the show in 2011, or the one the last 5 years ago. It was not at a giant place. It wasn't.
Okay, it's not like a huge auditorium.
It was at a club.
Okay. Huh. How do you get a movie out of that? That's interesting.
Oh, because it got 55 million views.
I mean, I understand that, but look, whatever.
And
I haven't seen it.
It makes perfect sense. Some piece of shit development person saw it, and they're like, "This is the fucking funniest shit ever." And then they showed people that 55 million number, and they were like, "Okay, let's do this." It's just like the Twilight movies. It's like they were pre-sold by those books. They sold so goddamn many of those books. You got to do the thing, and then for whatever reason, those movies do translate to that fan base, and they are very happy with those movies. And
that is true. And let's talk about what I call the elephant in the room. This is sitting at, what was it, 87% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score?
No.
Is that what it is?
No, it was not. No,
hold on. Let me look at the machine. The machine. 33 critics, obviously. Yeah. 87% audience score.
Oh, okay. Well, his fans came out for it, and they voted it up.
But they didn't, Dan. I'm trying to look up a box office. It seems like it's made $9.6 million. That's not even $1 per view. That's like
no. The fans voted. His fans voted it up on there. He has fans.
Well, you're right. Yeah, it says it's 500 verified ratings, 500 plus. So it's not a ton of people.
Because it's all that is a horrible amount of people for your movie to get reviews on it.
It's not a lot.
That just means all the Burt fans are hardcore Burt fans, and they went on there and gave it a 5 stars. And real people just didn't even see the movie. That's the point. The point is,
I mean, that's the right move.
The people that are going to review it just didn't even see it. They didn't even take the time.
I'm reviewing it today. I'll tell you that. We gotta bring this movie back to 87% is asinine.
It's kind of crazy for this movie.
I got to bring it down to at least 86 all by myself.
Go get him, Tony. So yeah, so I think that there's a good movie in here, and I think that based on a lot of the choices, it just disappears. You're just like,
Here's what I'm going to say with you,
sad.
Dan. I agree with you. Surprisingly enough, I do think that there is a decent movie in here. They didn't make it.
No.
And unlike you, a lot of my blame falls on him.
Well, I think all my blame falls on him.
Right. It's not, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily his acting that draws it down, but it's, I don't know. It's not
and
great.
He is a middling joke deliverer.
Middling. Yeah, he's not, he's not great.
No, he's not great. Not even close.
He's no Sebastian Maniscalco. Did I say Maniscalco? I can never remember this guy's last name.
That was the one you liked, the one with De Niro and the dad or whatever.
Yeah, and what's interesting?
That guy could land a joke.
Yes. That's what that movie is just a bunch of jokes. So that, to me, that one, not as great, not as solid of a movie, but much, much, much funnier.
Oh, okay.
Like it as a movie, plotline, story, and all that. This definitely has more elements, but that movie is just a string of bits put together, and it's very funny. It's very, very funny.
Yeah, this movie felt like a movie that, as I was watching it, I'm just deconstructing it, and I'm not angry at it. I'm just like, I feel bad because I'm just like, man, if somebody had been in the room to say, well, why don't we, they, what did they talk about back in improv, where it's like you have your first thought and then you put that one aside and you go for your second or your third thought, it's the first one's fine, it's fine, like the things in this movie, you're like, well, that's fine, but man, maybe if we had a little more.
Yeah, if we just took a little bit of time and we pitched some things and then we're like, okay, I like this, but let's make it better. Let's take it one step up.
Yeah, like the whole bit of you getting his name wrong every time.
That's an A+ bit. That's been going on for 2 weeks, Stan. We can't back off it now.
Yeah. The second thought is, maybe not.
The second thought is, now I'm also going to get his first name wrong. Barb Krinschmer, starring in this movie.
So so they robbed. So the idea is he's going to go on a trip. He's going to not learn Russian, go on a trip with the gangsters, rob the train. Boom, we do the titles. We show more of his shows. Then we show the shows go viral. Then we show that he drinks beers. And then there's this subplot about his daughter getting arrested, which we find out right before this happens. He got all drunk and weird, and then the daughter came to pick him up, and then she almost got in trouble, and then he feels bad about it.
But she didn't, right?
I don't think so.
Because the headline in the story that they show, when they show like the headline, they do like a paper thing, and it says comedian live streams daughter's arrest. That's not what happened.
No, that's not what
happened. The police were there, but she was never under arrest.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
And it also sets up a dynamic where you're like, he's a fuck up and his daughter's becoming a fuck up because he's a fuck up.
Right. And yet
the truth is he's a fuck up and he's just ruining her life.
Yeah, and she's fine. She's just doing the best she can with a shitty dad.
So they set her up as a problem, and you're like, why would we want to think she's the problem? It's just he's the problem.
But what's weird is
dad is piece of shit should have been.
Yes. Should have been there. I would have read that.
Yeah.
What's weird is they also tried to hit that harder when he, which we'll get to in a second, is calling her the C word.
Yeah, what was that?
But she's never does anything bad at all. Even, you know what? Let's just roll through it. We'll get to those points because they hit pretty early.
So he's at a therapist, and then I think we pan over and the whole family's there, 2 daughters and the mom, and then we do a whole C word bit where he wants to call them that or something. I didn't get it.
Or he used to call them that, and he's proud that he hasn't done it in a few weeks. or something. And then the older daughter is like, well, you never called the younger daughter a C word. And he says, well, she's not a C word. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and once again, you're just doing jokes to do jokes. And I'm sure he does a whole C word bit in his shows.
Are they jokes?
Well, I mean, there's things that are supposed to elicit some sort of laughter. It's like,
Sure.
Look at this guy. He's doing the C word. I can't do that, but he can because he's a.
Yeah.
So the
Comedian.
both the daughters leave, and then the mom leaves, and then I don't know.
And then the only joke of the scene is he's sitting with the therapist, and he's like, he says, the C word is blank, right? Which is the only joke of that entire 6-minute scene.
Yeah, it's a joke. One joke. I didn't write it down.
Sorry, let's keep a tally. We got one joke. We're 7 minutes into this 2-hour movie.
I've written funny at least at 3 or 4 places in the movie.
3 or 4? Okay. Well, the way you started that, I thought you were going to say a little bit more than 3 or 4.
So it's the morning, maybe the next day, maybe a couple of days, and she's having her sweet 16 party. And this was funny. So he's getting ready for it, and he puts on a shirt, and it doesn't cover his belly, and they do like a little bit with that. Very classic bit, handled very well, I thought.
That is the only weight joke handled well in this entire movie.
And I wrote down the wife's line: "Don't wear that shirt."
Don't wear that shirt.
It's a good line. It's a good joke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good joke.
Absolutely.
And then help me pick out a shirt, and then they do a Nutty Professor bit.
The first of 3 weird references to movies that have nothing to do with what they're talking about. I don't get it, Dan.
Was it the Nutty Professor? Isn't that Eddie Murphy putting on a fat suit?
Well, yes. Oh. Yeah, but that's not what he's talking about. Is that the Nutty Professor turns into something else?
Yeah.
Like he's this guy, but then he's this guy. And they do that later with Steve Urkel as well. And it's just, it plays to the point that they're supposed to make, which is he is Bert, but also the machine. And they're 2 very different personalities. And he can't turn into the machine because that's bad. And, but they don't. There is no distinction between when he is Bert and when he's the machine in the movie.
No, there is not. And
which ruins the entire movie.
And we, it's like he's like he gets vulnerable and he's like, I'm never going to be the machine again. And it's like with alcoholism and substance abuse, these are not just switches.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
In this movie, we never think about this as substance abuse, which
for sure, which is probably fine for a comedy, right? But here's the thing, Dan. There needs to be a big switch in his personality when he finally has to become the machine to get through the stuff in Russia. But there's no change. He's the same guy from A to Z. I don't even know when the change is supposed to happen.
Well, it never happens. It doesn't even happen in the machine is just a nickname that they put on him. The Russians put on him to be funny. It's not actually there. You're right. In this thing, they're setting it up that there's going to be this different guy. But even when they show us the complete flashback of the Russia trip, he's even super drunk. He's exactly the same. He's a little funnier. That's it.
Well, that's because it's not Bert doing it. Just to say that, like, get this out there. I liked the kid. I don't really know who he is, but I liked the kid a lot. So good for him.
And with a better script and something more to sort of chew on, you're like, okay, this kid could be very charismatic and enjoyable.
But that's how I look at the difference between Bert and the kid.
Oh, sure.
So when you say he's a good actor, I don't think I agree, because that kid shows something even with the shit script. Well, because there is a point where you're like, okay, I see this guy.
Well, because Bert is so buried in the history of this thing, he can't get away from it. He's
you're not
stuck.
wrong.
He's stuck existing over a 15-year period that he's been telling this story.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Yeah.
at least 12 to 14 years he's been telling the story, and
It's too long.
It's too long. This story does not need to be relitigated in a whole movie. It just doesn't. It's not that interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, here's the thing, Dan. In about 12 years, when we're still doing this podcast, I'm still going to say his name wrong, and we'll see how I feel about it then. I think I'm still going to feel pretty good about it.
It was back in the old improv days. Tony always used to come with his bit or two that he would like, I'm doing this one.
I'm doing it. I don't give a shit what you guys think. This is going to be in the show. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't, but you got to try. You never know unless you try, Dan.
Sometimes you would get to that third or fourth time and you'd be like, okay, this has become beyond absurd and it's actually funny. So it does work sometimes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you don't know unless you try. It's all about trying and failing. That's how you learn.
Fortunately, Bert's machine bit, in the end, didn't really work.
They never gave it a chance. That's what upsets me. There's multiple times in this movie where they talk about the dichotomy of these two characters, and it just doesn't ever show on screen. There are not two characters. Stupid.
Yeah. So
as soon as the alcohol hits his lips, Stan, he should be a completely different person. He should turn into a monster.
You should yeah.
I should feel slightly uncomfortable when he picks up the bottle of vodka or whatever it is in Russia. I should be like, oh shit, it's gonna happen. Oh shit, here we go. But I didn't care. I was just like, okay, yeah, he's gonna drink and then nothing's gonna happen. Great.
Gamer.
What are we talking about for Gamer? I love Gamer.
That's right. He had to drink the booze, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, that was stumbling out, and then he vomits in the thing, and then it's gasoline. That's a great move, by the way.
So the premise is the daughter wanted a small party with her few friends. He has made this a big party, invited lots of random people. We see a vape DJ guy. We're like, oh, he's a Russian. Oh, we did set up a thing where a Russian saw him on the TV and is like, there's the machine.
Yeah, the old Russian with his breathing machine. Yeah. Poor guy. I hope he's doing all right.
So boom, here comes Mark Hamill as Albert, his dad. Immediately questions his barbecue skills. Funny bit.
I did not enjoy this weird clicking thing that they thought was a bit. That
was bad.
What's happening, Dan? No. What has happened? How is this a bit? I don't even understand it.
Oh, okay.
But when they do the grill, I like it. So there's,
good bit.
Mark Hamill. Oh boy, that guy's nuts.
He's more nuts than funny.
Correct. Yeah,
but they don't,
which is unfortunate.
But they don't play up the nuts either. So you're kind of in a weird middle ground where
like most of the people in this movie, they're stuck in this gray area where we don't want to commit too hard to anything because we want to play the middle ground all the time.
So the daughter just up and leaves the party. She's going to Big Bear, and that's what she's doing. So he gets all pissed off and goes to his man cave.
Hold on. As she's leaving, Dan,
she hasn't left yet. She hasn't.
Oh, she hasn't left. Okay,
she says we think that she has left, but she hasn't actually left because we need to have a man cave scene. Then we have to go and actually see her leave.
Yes, that's right. Okay, I remember.
I know. So the dad comes in there, offers him a job at the carpet store. I thought that was funny.
It's funny, but confusing because there's like a weird side plot of the carpets, sort of, but not enough for me to think that it's relevant enough that we should even put it in the movie. If the dad's whole thing was your comedy sucks, you should work for me, if that was his main motivation, I'm on board.
Sure. Well,
but it's just one of many things. Sorry.
I think it's more like the whole premise of even though he's successful and has plenty of money, the dad still thinks, it's like this. It's never going. If he did a whole bit like that where he's always like, this comedy's,
But he doesn't.
isn't real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we take a stance and we say this dad, even though his son mega successful, living in a great house, still thinks he needs to come work for a carpet store because he doesn't believe in his comedy. Great, I get it. I'm on board. I understand the dad.
And that's the thing is you needed to just pare his character down to that, and there's a ton of jokes he could just constantly
100%. And the problem is they
he
put
could
a
be
bunch
making
of subplots
he could be
that
making
don't make sense.
making carpet jokes, and I could get you
He's a carpet guy.
There'd be so many good ones. So, Russian woman walks in there. Are you the machine? She wants a pocket watch that was stolen on the train. We're like, okay, well, here we go. She has a gun.
Here we go.
She's like, the crazy DJ guy's going to follow your daughter. If you don't get me this watch, he's going to kill her. Okay, that's good stakes. Makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the general plot makes sense. A, B, C. I understand where we're going.
We shoehorn in the absurdity that he's bringing his dad with him. That would have never happened.
I don't know.
But
Well, no.
we need a character to bounce off of. So the
We're
dad's
paying
coming.
Mark Hamill, so he better be in more of the movie. Everyone,
We take that as a premise and let it be.
yeah, you just got to swallow it.
And so they've got to go. He goes and kisses his wife and tells her he loves her. See, he did that really well. I bought that.
Sure.
It was a really, really emotional scene where you were like, she doesn't understand what's happening. He understands perfectly what's happening. And they have a moment like that, and you're like, "Oh man, this is some real emotional shit."
Great. So I better hear at least 4 or 5 more of those moments, because so far this is one moment where he shows any sort of skill in a 2-hour movie. Okay, I'm just saying.
When he was doing the shirt bit and he was vulnerable and he's going to never be the machine again, he was good there.
But the machine doesn't matter. I understand.
No, but I mean,
what you're saying.
he acted that scene pretty well. So we're up to 2, Tony.
Okay, you're right. No, you're right. I do like the shirt. What's wrong with his shirt? It's very funny.
No, not the shirt joke. He becomes vulnerable and says he's never going to be a machine and promises the wife.
I'll never be that guy again. Sure.
Yeah. And, like you said, if that had been this thing where he has to break the promise with the wife to save the daughter, to do the thing,
and
you're
he's
like,
looking
whoa.
at that alcohol, and he's like, I can't do it. And they're like, you have to do it, machine.
He has to do it. Russian. He has to do it to save his dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Like, oh my God. He's got to break.
I love that.
He's got to break this promise to his, and he like goes through things that, even on the train.
He goes through things. You can stop right there. He goes through things. Great.
So they go to the airport. They meet this big guy, Sponge, who's the bodyguard.
See, this, Tony, I have to talk about the daughter.
This is Tony.
This is going to be a short show.
It's a short show.
It's going to be a short show.
I'm not off. I have four pages of notes. We're not even off of number 1, Tony.
Okay, well, I have 1 page of notes, and we're almost done with mine.
Let me do 3 pages of me making fun of his name. That'll be funny.
All right, listen, Burt's Bees comes up, okay? Dan, when he's fighting with the daughter... Hey, I got you. I got one.
It wasn't
when he's fighting.
I was laughing because it was so not funny.
That's what you think is happening, but you're laughing. I'm winning. If we were keeping a scoreboard, I'm up 1-0. When he's talking to the daughter,
hold on, you're not up 1-0. You're not up 1-0 because you've already done it 4 or 5 times, and if not, that have all failed.
Here's the problem. You can't score, Dan. It's just me scoring.
You see, if you're scoring negative. Okay, so fighting with the daughter.
Scoring negative. When he's fighting with the daughter, and she's like, "You make this whole day about you."
Yeah.
And then she starts walking away. He starts yelling, "This is the C behavior that I'm talking about." But she hasn't done anything wrong.
No.
And so it makes him so unlikable so fast that I shut down. I shut down on his character.
Sure.
Not that I just wanted to get that out there because this guy's kind of a piece of trash when he's being the normal guy.
Yeah.
And then the machine's almost less mean, which is interesting.
The machine's actually meek at a certain point.
Right, yeah. Oh, well.
Okay, so they're playing. They talk about the machine myth, and they say you're fat. They
There's a
put on
lot of fat jokes, and none of them are funny. And
no,
here's my problem, Dan.
sure.
You know what's a pretty easy joke to land? A fat joke. We
Mhm.
all love fat. I mean, I understand not anymore. We're more conscious
Yeah,
now, but fat jokes are pretty easy to make. You know what's not a fat joke? Oh, hey, you have titties. Oh, look there's titties. There's men with titties. That's the level of jokes that they bring for fat jokes, and it's embarrassing.
we do the titties thing. I believe 5 or 6 times,
Is it
and
that many times?
it
I mean, it's
it's
too
at
many times,
it's at
but my
least
God.
five. It's at least five, and I tracked them, and
And he
know,
never reacts to it. It's
no,
always at him, and then we just
no.
move right along. He never takes it. He never says anything. It's very weird.
It's very weird, and it's flat. It's very flat.
Unlike
So,
his titties.
and there's like a slap fight. I don't remember what that was. And then the dad does make a carpet joke. We install anywhere, and then we sort of set up a whole thing of not showing fear. The dad is like,
I
that's the whole thing. You can't show fear, and we kind of do that a couple of times, and it just
it
doesn't make any
never even
sense.
makes sense in the scene. It doesn't. And when would he be showing feet outside of being in a life or death situation? How is this his mantra? What in his carpet life has led him to not be able to show fear? It doesn't make sense for the character.
I don't know. So the dad gives him a pocket knife before he goes to Russia. Then I wrote, Dad cuts off balls. Oh, he cuts off.
He has a nightmare at one point of his dad cutting off his testicles with the pocket knife that he lost in Russia. I don't know, Dan.
The dad watches Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid with Irina, and now when I saw the trailer, I thought Bert made a comment about his dad having sex with someone, and I thought, well, Bert was unconscious that the dad had sex with Irina, and then that was going to be really weird and funny.
Oh, okay.
He has sex with a random prostitute at the end
later,
and
yes.
it doesn't mean anything, and it's not funny. But if the dad had sex with Irina while he was passed out,
yes,
that would have been insanely funny.
Yeah,
it would have been so weird. So we set up.
She's great. I don't know who she is. She's great in this movie. I thought you didn't like her.
My issue with her, she feels like she's in this different wacky comedy. He feels like he's in like kind of a grounded comedy at times.
That I agree. Okay,
so there's sort of yeah. So if if he was allowed to play it that big regularly and was like almost if he was more comical, but he wants to try to play it real, and so it gets very confusing.
Dan, you watched his stand-up. Is he comical?
No.
Yeah, okay. So maybe he just can't do it, okay?
So they go to St. Petersburg. Yeah, they land in St. Petersburg, and then they have to kill a guy because they're supposed to only have 11 people to get past the customs guy.
I don't know. And it's because they brought the dad? Is that the problem?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's like it's like one of those classic, where the bad guy shoots one of his henchmen to prove that he's a bad
show
guy.
How bad I am. Yeah.
And you just go, please don't do that. Can't let the dog out. She's sick of our bullshit.
Who let the dogs out?
Okay, so he sees a billboard. He sees a billboard of himself.
Does he though, Dan?
The machine.
Here's the thing. Those don't look anything like him. The fact that people throughout this movie keep saying he looks just like the guy on the bottles and the billboards, ludicrous. He doesn't look anything like that.
This is one of the dumbest things in the movie. They set up that everyone in Russia knows who he is as the machine. They literally have branded vodka after him. He has done this thing in America for an amount of time that has made him incredibly wealthy,
Yeah.
talking about being the machine.
And only one person in Russia's seen it, from what I
I-
can tell. Just
it's
that old man.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, sir. Because
Everyone
he's just
would know
watching
this.
TV.
Yeah,
It's not like he found it online secretly on the back, the dark web or something. He's just watching TV, and Bert comes on and he's like, "Oh, this is machine. This is the guy." Like, okay. So does everybody know? Apparently not. Nobody knows.
None of the hip young Russians know, and they would all know. It's almost like saying they don't know who Snoopy is.
Right.
Snoopy.
If Snoopy talked about being in Russia all the time, there's an American who's gained 55 million views about talking about being in Russia. They would know. People in Russia would be like, "Oh, what is this? Who's this guy?" And then they know what's going on. It's ridiculous.
And it's like when you put something like that in your movie, you're only putting it in there to make jokes about it. You're not putting it. You don't even need it for the plot. It plays no role in the true plot of the movie. And it's one of those things where we always talk about this in improv. Once you start breaking the audience with things like this that just don't make any sense, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you lose the audience.
If I start thinking about the logics of your comedy, you're done. You're out.
And he puts it in there because he thinks it's funny to put him on the bottle and put him on the billboard, and he's all like, "Oh, they remember me here," but they would have made the connection. Period.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So the idea is we do the college flashback where he meets Igor, who's going to be the fixer that helps them, and then we have this poor girl Ashley that we slip in there, who is like a girlfriend bait but not really, and he's going to betray her.
Another subplot that doesn't make any sense.
It's terrible. So they go back to where the dorms used to be to see if this dude is still there, and it's now luxury
25
apartments.
years later, they're looking for a guy in college dormitories, but they're not dormitories because it's some rich lady living. I don't understand what's happening, Dan.
I mean, you have to have the trail of evidence, and so the only place he knows is going back to this one building.
I feel like your trail of evidence should be a little more sensical.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So
no,
they break the lock to the elevator in front of the guy, which doesn't make any sense. Like, and it's a bit that doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
More flag, machina funny. I think this is a flashback. They drank lemon drops. I had a drink called lemon drops, and he could outdrink them all. He says, so he can outdrink them.
Sure.
And then he remembers that they had a secret stash hole. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
More bad guys show up. They go up to the place. They bust a hole in the wall where the stash hole is in this apartment still. And they pull out a bunch of money and a pot brownie, which he's going to eat later. Once again, these two things don't mean anything. Don't have any.
Not only do they not mean anything, but talk to me, Dan. This is 20 years later. I'd say give or take, right? At least 20, I think.
Yeah.
How much mold is on this pot brownie?
Okay. I've been watching a few things. First of all, I've been watching How to with John Wilson. He did one where he visited a guy that eats old MREs.
What is that?
Oh,
is
that's
that the
like military food.
Okay.
So he cracks them open from the 60s and then eats them. And he's like, sometimes he'll eat them and your entire mouth and tongue will go numb.
Stop it. That's not. Why would you do that then? Like he does that as entertainment for other people?
No, that's his thing.
He just does it.
He has like a little shelving unit next to his couch with his different MREs, and then like to celebrate, he'll crack like maybe he found.
This is the most dangerous thing I've ever. This is reckless. This is absolutely reckless with his body. Oh my goodness.
And then I was watching another guy who like opens old Fritos cans that are 15 years old and then eats the Fritos out of them. and shit.
And they're fine. They're fine, is what you're saying. So what you're saying is the brownie might be fine.
I don't think it would be fine at all, but
I don't think it'd be fine either. I make brownies. I don't make brownies. My wife sometimes makes brownies, and they're bad in 2 weeks. They get hard, they get crunchy, and then you throw them out. Yeah. There's no way that 25 years in a wall, this guy's gonna be able to eat that brownie.
And more importantly, why? You know, he eats it later. You're like, why would, just set up that he gets some weed, some other, this is not important weed. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
Or just don't make this stupid scene where he's high, because it's really dumb.
Yeah. So let's see. Here's the breast joke number 2. The second try at the breast joke.
Great.
Oh no, they go downstairs and here's Irina's brother, Vanya, and then they're in conflict. Oh no, Vanya comes up. They're in conflict. He takes a dog and he throws it out the window to show how horrible he is. The dog is in the movie later and has survived.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's a thing I do not understand.
Well, here's what is supposed to happen, Dan, is that he throws the dog out to show shock and awe. Oh, I am bad guy, throw a dog out the window. But then later you would make a joke about how the dog survived. Something silly. Maybe it's hanging on a collar or so. I don't know. This is just throwing something out. You don't just put the dog back in randomly and don't make a comment about it. It doesn't make any sense.
Here, let's do it. Tony and Dan, which means Dan, because Dan always has to write the real jokes. They go downstairs and they look up and there on this awning is the dog and he barks at them. They're like,
great.
Oh, there's the joke.
I'm sorry. You know what, Dan? I want the dog to be hanging by his collar, okay? So he needs to be on a flagpole with his collar, okay? It's my joke. Get out of here.
But that's a lynching, Tony. He's like, his neck is broken.
Well, okay. Well, I did not think that part through. You're right. Maybe he's got a body call. You know what I mean? One of those body straps instead of a neck strap. He's fine. The dog's fine. He's up there. He's having the time of his life.
You're right. You're right. He's caught on the thing, and then he's held like normal positioning, and he's like,
exactly. See, there you go.
He's like sort of swinging around. See, right. We've written 2 jokes that could be totally accomplished within the set work of the framing, but for whatever reason, when they get downstairs and are outside, the dog just runs up and attacks him or licks him,
his ankle or something.
And you're just like, "Wow, I know you don't want to." Yeah.
The thing is that's them being like, just kidding, we wouldn't kill a dog, but it's not a joke. You have to make that a joke. It can't just be, oh, don't worry, he's alive. That joke earlier when we threw him out the window killed, though. Huh? That was really funny. Because that part's not funny either.
Nope.
So there's no joke in either part of the setup. It's bad. That's bad, guys.
It's very bad writing. So he throws the dog out the window. Dad puts he puts up his hands. He did it earlier when she had the gun. Oh, they walk out of the thing. He puts his hands up. I think they do it a third time. It was funny the first time. It wasn't funny this time. And then we get to watch Irina and Vanya fight to very loud music. And the fight choreography in this movie, very painful.
Yeah, it's not good at all. But I don't know. Yeah, I was trying to decide the whole time if I blamed, what's her name? Ivana? Was that her name? I missed it already. Irina, or if I blamed the choreographer. And then when they also made Butterfinger BB's fight later, I knew that it was the choreographer because he also looks dreadful. And obviously he's not to be rude, he's not an athlete, right? But the way that he kind of like moves around to get, like, none of it's realistic. It doesn't make any sense. They're just kind of throwing stuff together on the day, I'm pretty sure.
So it's terrible and painful and bad music. And then they're coming down in the elevator and the dad's like, we do 2 or 3 bits with the dad saying he's nonviolent until he does something violent. And you're like,
yeah. Again, another subplot that doesn't make sense. This guy's all about don't show fear, but also don't be aggressive. So be somewhere neutral. Just be neutral all the time. That's what you got to be.
And here's the Dan Goodsell pitch. You put some carpet in the elevator. He comments on the carpet. And they think,
Oh, wow.
Dad, who cares?
What is a 3/4 pile?
Very funny. You could write those. You could write all those jokes, and you know what? Those jokes would be cumulative. Each time you did a nice carpet joke, you'd just be like, "Oh fuck, another carpet joke."
Oh fuck!
I can hook you
Back
up.
at it again.
And then Bert shoots the gun and kills her brother in the head, and then it bounces off and kills like 2 more people. I think it kills someone innocent, doesn't it?
I mean, it seems like the manager also gets shot in the head. That's what it seems like. Because someone is hiding behind the desk and they're just in a suit and tie, right? And they get shot right in the head by the second headshot, and then manager gets killed, I think.
So he's killed a couple of people.
Yeah, just a couple.
You can't take it lightly.
No.
You know,
ostensibly, this is the first person he's killed, right? Because even as the machine, he just told jokes from sitcoms. It's not like he was killing people back then. I don't know.
So they go. So Irina thanks him, and you're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. She thanks him, but then he's like, oh, can you take the guy, make that guy not kill my daughter? And she's like, don't push it. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
We go to the train station. Of course, there's a different mob in the trains. He makes a funny cosplaying American History X joke. I appreciated that joke.
Yeah, no, that was funny.
And they take the train to Moscow, and then there's a flashback about a girl having his watch.
I don't know. There's a couple flashbacks. I don't remember them all.
So the cute girl wants to hang out with him in the flashback on the train, and then we do the "I Saw the Sign" song. And
can we just talk about just real quickly the 90s music is on point in this film. A lot of bangers out there.
They were appealing to Tony.
How's it?
So they
you didn't like them? Come on, guys.
Yeah, there's some good ones. They go to the bar car to try and talk to the gangsters, and then everybody's like, "We're on the party with the machine," and Dad knows about the therapy. The wife has been telling him about the therapy, and then he's like doing the "I'm the machine." We see the vodka bottle with him on it. We get the third titties joke, and then they're going to call Igor. And then we have a good line: "Alcohol is the universal language."
But it also doesn't. They don't show that.
No.
Shouldn't they be all having like a really good time then when Igor shows up? Should they be laughing and joking and I don't know, something? If it's the universal language, shouldn't they be bonding?
I don't know, man. So we set up now that his bit with them is that he steals bits from movies, and does Austin Powers, because he's done it a couple of times now. We've set it up in stone that what makes him funny and what makes them like him is that he does movie bits, which was not part of the machine story, not set up in the bit, and we're bringing it in now, which is already too late.
Yes. So I don't get it, Dan. I just on a fundamental level, I don't get it. How is what he does in this movie the legend? You know what I'm saying? Like how the legend they tell and what he's doing, none of it makes any sense. If some idiot American was just doing goofy voices, that's not going to make you the man's man. Because that's what they say. He's so manly, but now he has titty. That's a joke that they make over and over, but he's not a man's man. No. He's just a guy doing stupid voices.
He's a joke. They set it up that he's a joke to them.
Yeah, but he's some sort of national hero. Those two things don't make any sense.
No, they don't.
But they wrote it. They wrote the movie. They don't match.
And so we do a whole bit where they go to the bar car and then they steal, he makes them drinks and then they're like, now we steal money. And then the dude's like, and now we rob a whole train. And so they rob the whole train, including this is the super relevant point. He has to take the ring off the finger of the girl that he has the hots for.
Yeah.
In front of her. He also has to steal his dad's knife from his
from
luggage.
himself. Yeah.
And then they get to, I don't know if we do we get to, and then we get to the last cabin and we steal the watch from this rich guy.
Yeah. Now,
He said,
Dan.
hold on, let me finish this, Tony.
Okay. Yep. Sorry.
He says to the girl, I'll get you this ring back. He doesn't get it back till the end of the movie.
Yeah.
In the story he tells, this is what he says. And then we robbed my classmates, but they were all asleep.
Oh no.
Different story. Different story.
A totally different story. We didn't even see anybody.
He robs the girl he cares about, supposedly, to her face. He is not a man. He's a piece of shit. Robbing your other classmates that you've not characterized in a comedy story is still reprehensible, but it's not reprehensible to their faces.
Right, exactly.
It's completely different, 1,000% different.
Now, I have a question, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that he was going to be enjoying it. Mm-hmm. He spends the entire time being like, we shouldn't be robbing people. I don't think we should rob. I'm going to do it because you have a gun to me, but I don't think we should do it. Why does anybody like him? He's such a party pooper. If he started out being like, oh, wait, we're going to rob this guy? I don't think we should rob this guy. But then he starts having fun with it, becoming the machine. He's out of control. Now he loves the power and he's having a great time and he's leading the charge. Then I get it. But the whole time he's trying to remain likable. Even though he's doing something bad, he's doing it against his will. So he's really not a bad guy. That's a cop out, and I hate it.
He's executive producing the movie.
Of course he is. Make me look good, guys. I'm a good guy. I'm a good person. No, you're not.
And we've always said,
you fucked up. Own it.
We've always said in comedy, if you are not gonna let yourself look like terrible, first of all, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be funny, and it's not going to work. You're not going to redeem yourself because you're like, if you were young and drunk and did something terrible, well, okay. But if you're like, okay, I'm taking your ring, but I'll get it back to you, she doesn't respect him.
No,
she's still going through the same level of trauma.
Yeah,
and the Russians are not going to respect him. He's not doing anything to make them respect him.
No, they're making him do this. Yeah. That's not the man of all men.
This is not a guy who they literally say at least twice in the movie can walk through walls.
Yeah, when does he walk through walls? What's happening?
What?
I don't even understand what that means.
Yeah, if he was like drunk and was like tearing off doors and doing things that were over the top and comedically funny, when they go and rob all his classmates, he puts a sheet over his head so they can't tell who he is. It's like, mad with power, right? Let's make him mad with power.
Exactly.
He's the machine. Let's make him the machine. I could do anything, takes the thing, busts open windows with his head,
Yeah, great.
Let's see
the Russians love that shit.
You get nothing. Be a man. Be not yourself. That's the whole idea. But he's sheepish. So, boom. Okay, where are we?
And there's the movie.
We get the watch. So he's got the watch now. Boom. They called the police, gangsters, and then he's like, so in the flashback he's realizing I'm the guy who killed Batman's parents. I'm the asshole. Okay.
And yet you're kind of not.
No.
That line would land if you actually were the origin story, but you're kind of not. The mafia is. That's what's like, they're making you do it. You're not doing it. He should be making these decisions because he's drunk with power, right?
Let us rob the train. They're like, yes, we shall rob. They steal the money from the bar car. He says, let's rob the whole train. Yep. We are the greatest. We are powerful. And
that's great. That would make more sense.
He only realizes that he's a piece of shit afterwards when he's not the machine.
Yeah, because he's trying to not be that person anymore. And that's what this movie's about, is him reconciling these two personalities. But guess what? There's one personality.
But in the online comedy show,
Okay. Yeah.
he's not. He doesn't want to really be partial to it because he has to get to the end of the story and say, "Yeah, but I'm not a complete asshole."
Yeah, you are.
But
You should be. You
Yeah.
should be.
now, is this story
I'm gonna
supposed
have
to
to
be?
watch this.
Is this story supposed to be true?
I mean, it has. Isn't that his whole thing? Is that it's a true story? I don't, Dan. I don't know.
I didn't look up, but it must be supposedly a true story. In which case, you're
But
like,
only like the general part of that, because I was a little confused on what was true and what was not true at the beginning of this movie.
This dude really did rob a train in Russia.
I mean, I think that's what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying is that I did this.
I would love to hear from his classmates and hear what they have to say about it. That would be interesting.
Why hasn't anybody said anything? I wonder if anyone's come forward and been like, yeah, no, fuck that guy. He did this.
That's an interesting.
We need to do some research.
Yeah, we have to look that up. Okay, so Igor shows up at the bar cart. We do the titties joke. This is the fourth time we've done the titties joke already.
And this one's close to this one within 5 minutes they do it twice because the other dudes in the bar cart did it, and now Igor when he comes does it as well.
Oh, I put number 3 was when the guys are in the bar cart. This is number 4.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
So shut up, Tony.
You shut up. You shut up.
His dad, and then things get dicey, and so the dad pulls out his knife. He didn't give Bert the right knife. He gave him like a fake knife, and then was tormenting him.
I guess it was a clone knife.
Which doesn't make any sense. Like, why? You got to have him actually lose the real knife. I mean, I understand you can get a one joke line out of it, but then it doesn't mean anything.
Correct.
And more stakes have disappeared. Ooh, oh yeah, those weren't stakes.
Not only that, but then later, don't they talk about the knife again?
Oh yeah, the knife comes back a couple more times.
I don't know. It's dumb.
So I think Arena kills them all with the knife, and then we get a
because the dad says, "Hey, I'm nonviolent," so then he throws her the knife. But then we get this is my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, then talk about it because it's pretty funny.
So she slices one guy's throat, and he's bleeding out, and then she goes to fight other people. This guy that's got his throat cut starts coming at Luke Skywalker and Burmese Tiger. And so what he does is he punches him, but he hits him in the fucking neck, and his hand goes in the neck. This is a beautiful bit. I really like it. And they hit it pretty nice. You know, there's lines. Yeah, he's so warm inside, and like I don't know, it's good. It's good stuff. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny.
Funny.
It's the only real joke that made me laugh really hard in this movie.
Yeah, it was very funny. And then his head is out, and then he gets decapitated by another train.
Yeah.
And then the body falls in, and then there's like another joke about the decapitation, which I didn't write down, but it was another funny
the
joke.
Body's on him, and he's like, get him off. And for whatever reason, I don't know if this was improv or what, but the body starts going up instead of down, and he goes, the other way. It was pretty funny. It's a good scene, and if the movie could learn from that scene and kind of live there, I would have been happy.
Yeah. Next car. Okay, so they run away, and then they end up at the back car, and then they say, "Oh no!" They go up to the one car, and then he says that some random dude has the watch, and then the dude's all like, "Wait, what?" And it was a setup for a great comedy bit. But for whatever reason, then we just cut, and they're being chased by the guy that was about to try to get the watch off the guy that didn't have the watch.
Yeah, runtime, Dan. The runtime's too long. We got to cut the rest of that scene. We got to move on.
But no, they didn't even film that scene because the other dude was on their tail instantly, so there couldn't have been a scene with it.
No, you're right. No, yeah, it's true. That's true.
So
you're right.
I understand what you're saying. They didn't do that.
They didn't even get that far. I think I missed something I wanted to talk about. It'll be very short, I promise, because you're starting to run long, Dan. I don't know what's going on over there.
Aren't I?
When they're partying in the cart in the flashback, that
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit comes on the radio
You
and
know,
they're
for
singing.
the biscuit. Tony's just like in heaven. He's like, give
I
it to
am,
me,
but there's
baby.
there's a moment
Give it to me,
in
baby.
this that is the Offspring. That's a different band, Dan. Good Lord. They're singing the Nookie, right? And they're all singing together, and the line is, and you could take that cookie and stick it up your but they say asshole. All the Russians are like, stick it up your asshole, stick it up your asshole. And the guy who plays the young Bert does this great bit with his eyes. The first time he hears them say asshole, he like looks around and he's so confused on why they're saying the wrong line. And I laughed. That was my other big laugh of the movie.
I see. Because it's not that he has a problem with it. He's just like, that's not the right line.
Right. He's just like, where did you guys get that from? What's happening? And it's a nice little moment. Great little acting. And that's one of the moments where I was like, this kid, he's good.
Yeah.
Let's get him a real job. Let's do it.
So Vanya, Vanya's dead. Alexei, so we got another brother. And I thought there was going to be a third brother, but I guess there's just two brothers.
Because they said it.
They did say it. Okay, I didn't get that wrong.
There's three. They said there's three of us.
Three brothers.
Three brothers, and we only see two brothers.
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what to tell you, Dan.
Yeah, because you figure, okay, this brother's going to die here, and then we're going to have
the third brother,
the big boss brother. Nope.
Yep. No, he's on vacation somewhere. We couldn't get him.
So it ends up, we do some misogyny, and then we end up, the dad pushes Bert out of the train, then Irina gets shot out of the train, and then the dad goes off with, I don't know how the dad would have survived. Was there a reason why he was going to supposedly survive? Since he doesn't know anything?
I mean, basically, he says, my son's an idiot, I'll help you get your watch.
I'll help you.
If anyone had any brains, they would know he wouldn't know a damn thing about it.
Yeah, why would he know anything about the watch?
He doesn't. Spoiler alert, he doesn't know nothing.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even matter. That's what's so weird. He should be in trouble because he doesn't know anything. But instead, he's just friends with them.
Partying, sleeping with the prostitutes there.
So weird. This movie doesn't make any sense.
The next morning, Bert wakes up on the train tracks all night. There's a bit in there
dead.
Where, he has to avoid a train if he's asleep on train tracks. You have to do that. He eats the brownie and then he talks to his youthful self.
And there's no jokes.
There's like nothing.
There's no character growth. There's not an emotional moment where they kind of connect.
There were.
Do you think there was?
There were a couple of jokes. There was one. No, he's like you're. There's like a married, and then you have kids. Those are jokes. Those are funny.
Those were jokes?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's like your younger self. You're like, I'm sleeping with a married woman. It's like, what? It's my wife. We're married. There were a couple of jokes like that. They were jokes.
You're doing them better than they did. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Then gunfire, and he runs away. And then it turns out that the person shooting at him is his old friend Igor, who has faked his death for an ignoble reason. And
I don't know.
Now lives here, and he has run into him, and he was shooting at him because he thought he was a bear. He looks nothing like a bear. You have to put him in a costume, not a bear costume, but costuming that elicits something like brownness.
Maybe like a shaggy jacket, maybe, like a fur coat, maybe. I don't know, something.
You can't have him look nothing like a bear. Maybe he's cold, and so he puts something on himself. He, falls in the mud.
Maybe he's got his shirt off, and he's very hairy, like some people. This guy right here. I could pull that off.
It's hot. He takes his shirt off. He trips in mud. He's covered in mud. He looks like a creature. I mean, and that's the whole thing. He's supposed to be a guy that takes his shirt off. That's the joke. Let's take his shirt off.
It's your joke. It's your joke, guy.
And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that we could be doing this podcast and think about, saw this movie, thought about it a little, spending an hour and a half talking about it, can fix your jokes without a thought.
Yeah.
They can't fix their own jokes.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels weird, But hey,
Okay.
no one's paying us to make jokes. So there you go. Maybe it's the pressure. Maybe that's the problem, Dan. We're carefree. Nobody watches the show. No one's giving us money for the show. But if there was money behind it, all the pressure, we would buckle. Maybe that's the problem.
That's probably true. We're giving free advice is the freest advice you'll ever get. So they go to the village, and then there's going to be like 3 jokes you're going to like coming up in this scene.
There are?
Boom, woman comes into town with somebody in a cart, and then the woman's like, doesn't he
right.
like
no,
selling her? What was the joke? It was a good joke.
Well, so the old woman comes, and Igor's talking to her for something, and he's like, "Oh, I found my old friend." She's like, "Oh, what a great day! You found your friend. I found a whore." Just like casually calls her a whore, which is funny. And then Bert goes over there and he's like, "I know this whore." There's just some good stuff in here.
There was another.
And she tries to sell him.
There was like whatever her line for like you can have sex with her $1. There's like some funny line about the cost or something.
Whore jokes.
There's a couple of great whore jokes. Then Irina has like a thing stuck through her leg, and so they have to take her back to the house and pull it out. And he's getting grossed out, and he barfs in his hand, and then he puts it in his pocket. That is very funny. Very funny.
Great bit. And did you just put it in your pocket? I didn't know where else to put it. Great stuff, guys. A really nice moment. Kudos to that.
So she gets it out there, and then we sort of talk to Igor, and then he's like, "I left gangster life because I wanted to have a real life." And he says, "The most important thing in life is to find your smile," which I guess is from a movie.
No, well, he said that's what Bert taught him, and Bert stole that from a movie.
Yeah. So, boom, we set up a premise that's not in the movie. That he has to keep running in. It's like, okay, that's good. That's funny. Bert has to have affected all of these guys by saying stupid movie shit to them.
Sure, and then but that's also irrelevant to the machine, so it still doesn't make sense anyhow. But at least within the context of your movie, it would make a little more sense.
And then it's the night he's with Irina. Then he tells the whole story about the daughter where he got out of control and then almost got her in trouble, and then live streamed it also. Like whatever. And then he's like, that was a wake up call. And then he cries, and his crying was fine. And he talks about for being a party guy for so long. Even though we don't see any of that. We hadn't seen that, and we hadn't experienced it, so we don't understand it.
And also, it doesn't really feel like he's been in a wake-up call because he was a piece of shit to his daughter in the beginning of the movie.
Well, his wake-up call is just not to drink anymore, which, of course, he can just do without having a problem. Okay.
Yeah. Don't forgive it. Golly,
and then Irina does a whole thing about how her favorite thing was Urkel, and he's all like, Urkel, sort of. Yeah.
And then the only part of that scene I like, Dan, is when the little kid at the end just pops up out of bed. Did I do that? And they're like, "Oh, he's seen it." That's it. That's the only part of that scene that's any good.
It was funny. Shannon's looking in on us to see if we're done yet.
We're almost done. You can almost have lunch.
Okay.
Wait, it's 10 o'clock. You're not having lunch yet.
She's looking at you. We have an early lunch. You want to know what time I got up today?
What time did you get up today? 8? Like me?
What?
I said like me. But I got up at 7:30, and then I went and power washed the outside.
I got up 5 hours before you.
No, Dan, that's still the night before. That's 2 a.m. That's still the previous night. You didn't even sleep till today. That's most people are still up then, just hanging out in bed maybe.
Yeah, it's true.
Jesus, what did you do from 2:30 to 7?
I watched some videos, did some work, and post show. I always have something.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that during the day, Dan.
That is my day.
That's not day, it's night. It's nighttime. It's literally nighttime.
My day starts at 3 o'clock in the morning.
This sounds horrible.
Beyond mentally ill. My plan, I'm like daylight savings time. I'm just going to keep going back further and further Then I'll get up at midnight. Then I'll get up at 9.
Till you
Then I'll
circle
get
around.
and then I'll be getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning because I've come all the way around, and then I've
Great.
gained an entire day.
I'm
The
not
rest
sure
of you,
that's how
all
time
the rest of
works.
you are going to be down a day. Dan Goodself, up a day.
Up a day. Here we go. Good for you.
So Igor shows him there's a church inside a factory, which it was supposed to be significant for some reason, and it means nothing to us. And then he's like, "Oh, here you go. This all the stuff. I saved all the stuff that we stole, which doesn't make any sense." And then they're like, "Oh, wait a second. Do you have the watch?" And he's like, "Of course I have the watch." And he gives him the watch. Wouldn't they have asked
this
Igor?
is not exactly how this scene went down.
How does this scene go down? I don't really remember.
He just takes the watch out because he's gonna check time. It's just a happenstance, and then they're like, "Hey, that's the watch we're looking for," and then he just gives it to him. A watch that he has now had for 25 years and clearly means a lot to him because he carries it with him everywhere. Just gives it back. You don't care.
That's because the machine gave it to him as a friendship thing. They should have talked about that then.
Oh, that's true. You're right.
But more importantly, when you first met him, they should have asked him about the watch. It's like this is the dude you're looking for. Movie. you also that's like that should have happened.
Step 1 an hour ago.
Yeah, when he did the whole Find Your Smile thing, that's when they should have done the watch. Not now.
Sure. Well,
but
now we got a watch.
They wanted to take us to this church that they made in a factory. You're like, I do not understand the necessity of this set.
Because they already made it, Dan. They can't unmake it. They have to use it. They made it.
Oh no, then as they're leaving, he gives him a chicken and a gun.
Yep,
and then he gives him all the stolen stuff, and I'm like, yes, this is the movie you should make: chicken and a gun and the stolen stuff. This movie I want to see.
There's a couple of good bits, but the rest of the movie doesn't support it.
They go to Moscow with the rock song. They go to this building with neon on it that we don't understand what it is, and then they just walk in the front door with no plan. Like
there's no guards? Isn't this the mafia? There's no bouncer? I don't understand.
I don't even remember. Is the dad even in this building?
Yeah. That he's just hanging out with the brother in the isn't that the building?
I mean, he's not hanging out with the brother because if Irina sees the dad, all she would do is pull out the watch. Doesn't the dad come in cars later?
Oh, you mean the mafia dad? I thought you were talking about Luke Skywalker.
No,
okay, you're right. No, mafia dad not here yet. No.
Why would you go to where your brother is with his entire mob with the watch?
To rescue Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill.
Why would Irina care about rescuing Luke Skywalker?
Well, because she's like a really good person now.
No, she's not.
I don't know. You must have missed the character development. Dan.
She most definitely is not. And so once again, we're doing a thing. The audience is like, why are they going here?
Sure. Yeah.
So, boom. The dad is there. He's taken all kinds of different drugs, and so he gets to act like a little weird. Just a little weirder than normal. Because he's already a little weird, and now he's just like a little more weird than he was weird before. Yeah. She should have gone to her secret office, and then the brother's there. Right. Then he takes the watch. You're waiting for her. Yeah. Sure. That would make it amount of sense. They take the watch. Sponge takes the watch. Alexia, your dad is the original machine. The dad. So they're saying that the dad is actually the machine because he can party with them. Bert can't party with them, so he's not the machine. He yells, I don't know. He yells at his dad, gives him the knife. Oh, the dad has picked up the knife, which is on the couch, and then hands it to somebody. Who gets the knife? And somebody knifes Alexi. Who knifed Alexi? No, he does. The dad does. The dad knifes Alexi. His moment of aggression. And he says, but I said I'm nonviolent, but, if I have to get violent, I'll just get violent based on nothing. To protect his son is what it's supposed to be a bonding moment. Oh, okay.
Clearly, you didn't feel it.
So he knifes him very ineffectively, and then they run. This is when we get the 6 boobies joke. Arena goes back for the watch, and then we have the battle in the gambling parlor. Would you call it?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the battle where he finally becomes the machine?
Yeah. So it's weird because all of a sudden he's like a good fighter, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And he just beats up just a ton of dudes.
Well,
just a ton of dudes.
His dad's like, take your shirt off and get drunk and become the machine. And so he takes his shirt off, and then he
would make sense.
Drinks alcohol,
if
and then
he transformed every time he had alcohol, but he doesn't. He just is the same guy, just with alcohol.
Yep.
So it doesn't make any sense. And then he becomes more. This is where they do the Popeye thing.
Oh, okay.
So like steam comes on the label. They zoom into the label, and like steam comes out of the ear. It turns red, and steam comes out. And now he's the machine. And now he's super strong. And he picks up a roulette table and blocks bullets.
He does
from a machine gun.
He does block bullets with a wood roulette table.
Nobody shoots him in the legs.
Nobody shoots him in the legs.
I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Just aim a little bit lower. He's down. I'll tell you that right now.
It's called fair play, Tony.
Only shoot from here to here, everybody. Otherwise, I'll die. Please don't do it.
Fair play.
And then he just, he beats up a bunch of guys, trained fighters.
While Arena is there with a gun shooting 100 people all by herself.
And yet that, I believe, more than the other one.
I wrote, stands up, pulls out knife. Must have got knifed. Somebody got, the guy, the Lexi had the knife in him. He pulls it out. And then
this is one of my favorite jokes.
Hit the joke. I mean,
it's
a good joke.
It's dark.
It's good dark.
He's pulling out the knife, and Bert's, don't do it. This is how Steve Irwin died. And it's dark as fuck. But I did laugh.
He gets punched. He spits out a crown, which was a callback to earlier about don't hit me because I might lose a crown.
I just got a crown. Yeah,
it was okay. Fine. It was okay. Arena has a gun to the head of Alexei. Cars show up. Here comes the dad. She gives him the watch. And then the dad's like, you stupid woman, blah, 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 stupid. Can't even kill your brother. And then she kills
Which is confusing because she already killed one brother. Right? This is the second brother that she's getting ready to kill. So why is
he should have said,
I don't know, Dan.
You can't even kill your brother. Click, boom, his head blows off. She's like, I can kill my brother. No, you're still a piece of garbage girl. Then she shoots. Because she kills the dad. Yeah. Oh, she doesn't even kill the brother.
No, she never kills the brother. The brother ends up just leaving, basically.
Hold on. So the dad's like chewing her out. She kills the dad. And then everyone's like, oh, I guess we all work for you. It's just like that. What was that stupid movie we watched? Oh, the Hercules movie where the dude kills the king and everybody's
kill the leader. I'm like, okay, we'll switch sides then. We don't have a leader anymore. Here we go.
You pulled out a gun and shot someone randomly, so you must be powerful.
Even though she's not next in line.
No.
The brother is next in line. Isn't that the whole scene? He's like, this guy right here, he's going to take over the empire. And then she kills the dad, so he's the leader, in my mind.
See, this is okay. Let's rewrite the whole scene. The dad giving her shit about being garbage, and then while she's doing his last line, she kills the brothers. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
The third brother's there with the dad, and he's all like, well, she shoots him in the head, and the dad's like, and then she shoots him in the head. She kills all three of them.
We're like, okay, I guess I'm the only one. And then I do that, and that's great.
And that would be the point at which everybody might be like, she's a fucking psychopath.
She's crazy.
She just killed brother, dad, because of things they said.
She killed her whole family. Everybody's like, take a knee.
Everybody's like, you're fucking crazy. But as it is, it's, and that's this whole movie is everything sort of done in half measures.
Yeah. Yeah. We live in the gray.
They bow to her. They drive off. She stomps on the watch. He goes home, hugs his daughter, kisses his wife and the second daughter, and then writes a letter to the Ashley girl who he stole the ring for and sends the ring back. And that's the end. He's done a good thing after all these years. He's gotten her ring back. Of course, the trauma that he caused to her, robbing her to her face, let's ignore that shit.
Yeah, she's all smiley when she gets it back. No, I don't think so. Guy.
And I'll tell the story I've told on here before. Is when I was on the jury for the bank robber guy. We had some of the women tellers, women that worked in the bank, and a dude. Those people were traumatized, and this was just like nobody got shot. Just like bank robbers, they had a gun. These people were seriously traumatized by just having somebody come in there, rob their bank, and there being a gun there. And so, I'm sorry, you can't. You're pretty unredeemable.
Yeah.
When you basically put a gun in somebody's face and rob them, sending them back a ring is not gonna absolve you.
It's not gonna make up for nothing.
Nothing.
No, sir. And then credits, and they do a carpet commercial.
Oh, was there a carpet commercial? No.
Oh, you didn't watch it? You didn't miss anything. It's awful. Oh. It's not there. He's cursing, so this commercial can't air. Not that it's airing, but like it's not a thing. And he's got his shirt off, and then Mark Hamill comes in and is like, "Bert, you can't curse on TV." And then he curses again, and then he's like, "Dad, take your shirt off." And then the dad takes his shirt off, but he's wearing a T-shirt with a body. You know those shirts. So he's pretending to be his shirt off, and then he's like, "We have 3 convenient locations," and that's the commercial. And it's fucking dumb.
Oh man, you and I could write that commercial 10 times better.
A child could write the commercial better.
Find me a child. Go to the end of the universe. Find me a child.
Come here.
So
that's The Machine. 87% on Rotten Tomatoes from the fans. You guys are all idiots. I'll just listen. Comedy is subjective. I understand.
Yeah, sure.
That doesn't make the movie make sense.
They like Bert. They like the bit, and they like the idea of seeing the bit and how it might have played out.
How he tries to ruin it by making it longer. Yeah,
and I'm sure when you ask them about the movie, they talk about punching into the guy's neck and the Urkel
very
stuff.
Funny bit. Something I enjoyed a lot, and I wish it was in a better movie so I could watch it again and not want to punch my own throat out.
But yeah, I'm putting this one in the category as a swing and a miss. But there was enough here to not make me hate everyone in the movie.
I don't hate everyone, but I'm still not a Bert fan.
I'm not a fan, but
I will never watch his stand-up.
I think he could have a redemption. I think somebody could cast him in a movie and get a decent performance out of him for something.
Well, I guess we'll probably find out because apparently he's mega famous.
So now we talk about something we like this week. I'm just going to talk about, I think it's Netflix has a series of sports documentaries called Untold. We watched the Johnny Manziel one. Super interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Johnny. Oh, boy. Take a knee, buddy. Love it.
What do you got for us, Tony?
We went and saw Last Voyage of the Demeter last weekend.
And?
It's not as good as I wanted it to be. It's solid.
But
you know what I mean? It's solid.
Fun, normal movie.
Beautiful. It's not fun.
Oh,
it's beautiful. It's very atmospheric. It's not scary, which is fine.
Oh,
Dracula, not really scary. It's more moody.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite deliver what I was hoping, but still solid. I still enjoyed it. Still had a good time. I'm still going to buy it.
Took you on a moderately enjoyable vacation.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, there's a couple things where they do, and they make the characters make these decisions. You're like, that's not right. That's not right at all. But it's fine. The monster's pretty cool, and it's visually very appealing. And while you do know how it's going to end, because it's just the first chapter of a longer story, it's still good. I still enjoyed it.
Well, maybe they can make like the next chapter of Dracula, make like 10 movies to make a whole.
I'm down. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's make a series.
So we're sticking with comedy next week, and
Sticking. When did we start with comedy?
we're sticking at movies that are shelved in comedy.
If you went to a Blockbuster, they'd be under the comedy section.
And we're taking one of the most famous Saturday Night alums, his movie debut,
Chevy Chase.
Debut and swan song. What's Chevy Chase's debut?
I guess I'm not even sure what his first movie was. I don't know. I was hoping it was. I don't know. And I think they're all pretty good movies.
Yeah,
the Fletch movies. Those are great.
Those are fun movies. This is a one and done. One and done.
Done.
They gave him one. They didn't give him another one.
Deliver. Oh no, this is gonna be a sad tale.
But he's also like an incredible showbiz personality that we see on late night TV every night.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. What movie did he make?
He made a Queen Latifah movie.
Yes. Called Taxi from 2004.
Taxi! Buckle up for safety, motherfuckers. That's the only thing I remember from that movie. I definitely saw this movie when it came out in theaters.
Okay.
I'm excited. I don't know if it was good. I don't remember anything else about it.
I think it's supposed to be very terrible. I mean, it's they didn't give him another movie after it. So
didn't he do? I think he did Fever Pitch with Drew Barrymore.
He
that's
did
a cute
do
movie.
Fever Pitch. You're right. So
I think those are it. I think that's. That's the entirety of that career.
So 2 and done.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see this again.
Yeah, Fever Pitch was actually good. Because it was,
I remember it being very cute.
I enjoyed it.
It's a remake of a UK movie, I think, about football, football.
Yeah, fun.
But yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this thing.
We'll see Jimmy. I mean, I know pretty sure Jimmy has Let's see if he has more acting skills than Bert Kreischer.
Than who?
Bert Kreischer.
Than Barry McCracken? I don't know him. All right, let's do it. Taxi. What, Taxi? Not Crazy. Crazy Taxi's a Dreamcast game. It was great. So it's just Taxi.
And it's not the Mr. T movie.
The TV show.
Do you know the Mr. T movie called DC Cab?
No. Should I? Because I do love Mr. T. All right.
That's like, I believe DC Cab. I believe I saw DC Cab in the theaters for what reason I could not tell you. But it's like,
sure.
Why not? It's kind of like a Police Academy kind of movie where it's like everybody works.
Okay, I'm into that.
I think it's kind of that same sort of like, let's find a bunch of weird, wacky characters,
zany,
see what happens. I'm into it. Put them all in a movie.
Good stuff. Good stuff happens usually.
As opposed to Taxi, which is like a buddy movie. I think he plays a cop in Taxi, and then he makes her drive him around.
Jimmy Fallon.
I believe he plays a cop. And then he enlists her aid to solve the crime.
And she's the taxi driver. Yeah, okay.
I believe so. I think that's what.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm excited.
So if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up is how we move up in the rankings. The more thumbs up.
Are there rankings? I don't even know. Are we ranked? I feel like we're not ranked.
I'm sure they don't consider our rank. But if
let's get us on the board, guys. Thumbs it up.
Thumbs it up. Subscribe. Or leave a comment. And as always, if there was a movie you wanted us to consider, let us know, and we'll probably have already done it. But because
we've done a lot.
We've done most of the bad movies. I don't think there's that many to go. There are. Hopefully this year, maybe next year, we'll be finishing it out. We have them all covered.
Are we calling it quits? Are you going to retire?
Well, I am going to retire. There's a good chance I'm going to retire, but it'll probably be permanent.
Oh, death. Is that death? Is permanent retirement death?
Dan.
I'll continue it on. I'm just leave this setup the whole time, and I'll shoot once a week against nothing.
Yeah, we have to work on who would be my replacement.
You're gonna pass on the torch of the show that nobody watches.
I'll start interviewing for my replacement.
Oh, great! Hold auditions, Dan.
Put like
I'll show up.
Ad on Craigslist. Looking for future co-hosts to the show.
I'm gonna, Dan. Here's I'm gonna submit my tape, my self tape for this audition, and it's just gonna be Burt McCracken jokes the whole time. Am I gonna get the job?
See, Tony, when you make the same supposed joke over and over again, when you just keep saying Burt McCracken, nobody knows who that is. Nobody cares that he's in some terrible.
Everybody knows who Burt McCracken is. I'll tell you what, more people. 55 million's a lot. I was going to say more people know him than this guy.
Should have made a Burt Wonderstone. We knew somebody in
I liked Harrison's in that movie, right?
Somewhere. Yeah.
I don't remember it. I don't remember it. But that's Jim Carrey, right?
Burt Wonderstone?
Isn't he like the dangerous magician?
Oh, maybe he is.
What's the guy? David Blaine. I think he's like the Blaney type.
Oh, is he? I just remember it's like Steve Carell or something.
Steve Carell's the main guy. Burt Wonders. Nobody. I'm sorry if you're still watching this, everybody. Yeah. Jim Carrey's in it. Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, Olivia Wilde. I don't remember. We should watch it again. Is it good? Rotten Tomatoes 38% critics.
It's
33% audience. Who knows? Maybe it'll make an appearance. I don't know.
It's one of those movies where it's like they're doing one movie and then I think in the middle they're like, oh, let's do this other movie.
Let's do a different movie. We found it. Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll watch it. Anyhow, Taxi.
So we'll be back next week talking about Jimmy Fallon and Taxi and Queen Latifah.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch him!